think we're good. I think we're situated. Everybody's happy. Everybody's here.
I don't know about
Check one,
happy,
check
but
two
yeah.
on the mic. Okay. And we're recording.
Hmm.
Dun, 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 dun. Bum, 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 bum.
Weirdest intro to a podcast ever.
Oh, sorry. I did start recording. I forgot that I started recording. All right. Well, it's one of those kind of days, I guess. All right, here we go. Welcome to Not the Worst Podcast. Thanks for joining us. My name is JD, and this is my co-host Anthony over there. Say hi, Anthony.
Hi, everybody.
Hooray!
Am I doing my intro thing?
You can. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today because we've been playing a bunch of new games. So we're going to do one of our let's break down our games we're playing segments and a little bit more gaming news. But yeah, go ahead and do your intro if you got something else you want to add in there.
I do. It's not gonna be very long, obviously, because it's supposed to be an intro. But for those of you, I actually know quite a few people that play Rocket League. Rocket League is going free to play and is going to have cross-platform abilities soon. They did not. I just found an article real quick about it on The Verge. They don't have a date for when this is happening that I could see. But they said they have been announced that it's going free to play. It's going to have cross-platform play capability, and those who play on PC, apparently it's moving from Steam to the Epic Game Store because they said, I can't pronounce that, Pysonic was acquired by Fortnite maker last year. And for those of you who may have already purchased Rocket League, don't be upset and feel like you're being cheated out where everybody gets it for free when you paid for it, because everybody hates it when that happens. But they're talking about once it goes free to play, there will be an opportunity for those who pay for the game to get optional DLC of their choosing. They didn't really specify what those DLCs will be, but they'll get it for free because they paid for the game. So they're not gonna leave you guys hanging if you bought the game.
I bought the game on Xbox. I played it for like a day. I didn't like it.
I did too. Actually, I have it on
I was
Xbox
not
as well.
too great at it. I was really surprised when that game took off because I didn't get it.
Yeah, it's huge. I'm surprised how huge it is.
Yeah, but yeah, maybe if it goes free to play, maybe I try it out again. Maybe I'll like it this time. Who knows?
No, free to play cross-platform, so you can play with all your buddies on other platforms.
Hooray! Super excited.
But that's all I got from the intro.
All right then. No, not really. I say we just bust into that first topic. We're going to be talking about the Xbox Games Showcase.
Yes, which is tomorrow, right? The official showcase starts tomorrow.
Yeah. There's a couple of little things. We've talked in the past about how when E3 got canceled, a lot of companies have scrambled to do their own little online events because E3 got canceled because of COVID, and then all these people that were going to show all this stuff off now have no place to show it. So a lot of them are doing their own thing. Sony did a PlayStation 5 reveal. Last week we talked about Ubisoft Forward, and then this is Microsoft's. They did one a couple months ago, and now this is another one that they're doing. This one is specifically to show off their first party games, and very specifically to show off Halo Infinite, which is the newest Halo game and will be out on the new generation of consoles. So that's cool. And then so it's taking place tomorrow. Well, by the time anybody hears the podcast, it won't be tomorrow. It's taking place July 23rd at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So, but we'll be able to talk next week about what they actually revealed and whether or not it was cool. And I'm willing to bet it was grossly mediocre. So, hooray. For one thing, they said it's only supposed to be like an hour long or something. Oh, no. The pre-show is an hour long. So I don't know how long the actual show is going to be.
And the pre-show is done by Geoff. I think he's the red versus blue guy, isn't he?
Jeff, man. It's just Jeff.
Jeff. Is it just Jeff? Well, it's not my fault that his parents spelled it wrong.
Okay. All right. yeah, so they're going to show off Halo Infinite, and they've got a couple of other first-party games. Apparently, there's a new game, a secret game that they haven't revealed yet that might get announced tomorrow, but people aren't sure about. And then there's the Fable game that we've already seen rumors about going to get announced. So if you're into the Fable series, which who is, I don't know. But that'll be there. And then obviously Halo Infinite's the one everybody's looking at because Halo's just such a major part of Xbox and that whole thing. So expect a lot of support for that game, a lot of look at the multiplayer, a lot of look at how it's going to go into esports and things like that. So that should be big. And they're showing off the campaign for Halo Infinite too, so that'll be cool. That's the only part of Halo I even play anymore, is the campaign.
Yeah, same here. That's the only part of Halo I ever played because I suck at the Halo multiplayer. But Microsoft desperately needs a big game for its platform because as far as I'm concerned, it's dying. I mean, the fact that they shut down Mixer to Facebook, which it took effect today, by the way, or takes effect today, shows that Microsoft is going to have to jump ship on some things. I'm sure if Xbox keeps being mediocre at best, I don't think they're going to last much longer in the console realm.
And that's the problem. I don't think this is going to do it.
No.
I think Microsoft thinks a lot more highly of Halo than anybody else does. I think the Halo, whatever hype Halo had, has died out years ago, and it's not getting better. And I just if they don't have anything else other than Halo, if they don't have something new, something unique, PlayStation had super unique games that they revealed, things that kind of blew people away and got them talking. If Microsoft doesn't have something to get people talking, it's going to look bad.
I mean, the newest Gears that came out for the Xbox One kind of flopped, and that's supposed to be another Microsoft exclusive big name game. And
yeah, I mean, the biggest new IP that they've had recently that was supposed to be something was Sea of Thieves. And while it is something now, when it first launched, it was pretty lackluster and got a lot of people down on Microsoft and their games. They've improved it like tenfold from what I've heard. Sea of Thieves has gotten a lot better over time, but the damage was done, I feel like, and they need something coming out the gate that's hot and good to go and looking great. And I don't think they're going to have it. I don't think they will.
No, unfortunately, I think they've had the chance in that, and no pun intended, that ship has sailed.
Yeah,
but I mean, I can't really say a whole lot because I don't get super excited about console games anymore because I have pretty much made the switch to PC. I still have my Xbox One.
That's one of the cool things about Xbox is that at least a lot more than Sony, they've really embraced the kind of cross-platform and the playing on PC or Xbox thing. So if there was cool stuff on Xbox, we'd be more likely to see it on PC, especially through like Game Pass or something like that. So it's kind of disappointing that they're putting all that effort in, but they just don't have anything to go with it, And you're right, it does sound a little like they're giving up on certain things, like with Mixer. So I don't know. I'm hoping we see something. I hope they surprise us. I don't think they will.
No. I mean, looks like they're going back to, I'm looking through the demo list right now. It looks like Destroy All Humans, they're revisiting old IPs, and other than Destroy All Humans looks beautiful from the screenshot I'm looking at. Other than that that's not going to be enough to bring anybody crashing into the Xbox. And I think, honestly, the fact that Xbox does cross over to PC as much as it does, probably maybe even hurt the console because everybody's like, well, yeah, I can get the same game on Xbox, but have it perform better and look better on PC. So why would I buy it on Xbox?
Yeah.
So
let's talk about this. The Summer Games event that's going on. This is kind of going on in conjunction with the game showcase that's happening on July 23rd. This is going on all week and will be going on until the 27th, and is basically a look at this is it at Xbox. It's not just Xbox. It at Xbox, or ID at Xbox, I don't know how they pronounce it, is sort of their it's their program that highlights small developers and smaller games and independent games and stuff like that. So the demo event includes 70 different games that you could go right now. You could stop listening to our podcast, but I do not suggest that. You can go and download these games, 70 different demos for different games that will be later coming out, but you can try them all for free right now. And that's going on for the next week. So that's pretty cool. And it includes a lot of games you've probably never heard of and games from developers that are too small to get noticed otherwise. So it's great for them. And all in all, it's a very cool event. So you can definitely check that out. It's just none of it's going to be life changing. Maybe. Maybe there's some good stuff in there. I don't know. But
I'm
try it
going
out. But
to
yeah, like he said, it includes Destroy All Humans. Um, there's some other, I don't really know what these games are beyond just their titles, but there's like Dungeon Scavenger Inferno is one of them. That sounds kind of fun. Skatebird. I don't know what skatebird is, but if it's a bird skating, I'll play it. It is. It's a bird on a skateboard. You should definitely go play that. That sounds amazing. So,
Chicken's madness.
yay, madness. Yeah. So there's lots of games. They're all available. You can just go right onto your Xbox dashboard and look through them and download as many as you want, play them as much as you want, and you're good to go. So that's cool.
Isn't Doodle got a game that was released a long time ago? It looks like they're coming out with another one. Or am I just making that up in my head that it's one of the demos is Doodle God? No, yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking is Doodle Jump.
I think you're thinking Doodle Jump, but not Doodle. Yeah. Some of these look kind of cool. Raji and Ancient Epic. It's like an action adventure game set in ancient India. That's kind of neat.
Is that the one that
and you have to face a demon lord, Mahabalasura? I want to face Mahabalasura.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. I'm just now getting to that point in the Helheim Hassle.
There's lots of cool looking games. Some of these have very cool looking graphics too. So definitely go check that out. That should be fun.
Kung Fu Kickball.
Kung Fu Kickball. That's awesome. I would do that.
I can only imagine how that would be
fun. These would be fun to stream.
Some laid back, easy games. Well, the Raji would just be interested in Ancient Epic. That would be just interesting altogether because it's a different world than you normally would see in a gaming world. I guess one thing I like about a lot of these games, especially the indie ones, a lot of these games are touching into different cultures that you really didn't see in video games before, and it's kind of fun. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, it's I like exploring culture, and if a game does it right, it could be a lot of fun. And I'm only getting screenshots of my website. I don't know what JD pulled up for what he's using. I got news.xbox.com for mine, but it's
all right.
Rover Wars. Ooh.
Yeah. So there's lots of games. Go check them out. They're free. Check out the showcase tomorrow. It's got Halo. Hooray. Let's move on because we got a lot to talk about in our next topic. We're only going to have 2 topics today because this next one's, I think we're going to talk about a lot of stuff for a long time. This is our new game section. We like to bring up the new games we've been playing. We don't do it very often because it usually takes us a while to move on to new games, but we've been playing a couple recently. And there's some we haven't played that we're still going to talk about because they're interesting. But the first one I think we can talk about is the one that we've both played and both tried, and that's Rogue Company.
Mm-hmm.
Rogue Company is the new shooter from Hi-Rez. If you've listened to this podcast before, you know I'm a big fan of Smite, and Smite was made by Hi-Rez, and so this is made by the same people that made Smite. It's a very, very different game. It is not the same at all. It's a 4 versus 4 team-based shooter, and each rogue, each person that you pick is a rogue, and they all have different abilities. It's definitely not a battle royale. It's a little more like traditional Call of Duty, or maybe even like a traditional Halo team deathmatch kind of thing. It's a little more traditional than most shooters have been recently. But to be honest with you, I actually really like that. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's nothing revolutionary about this game. It doesn't bring anything really new to the table. It brings different characters that all have different abilities. We've seen that before. It brings 4 versus 4 gameplay. We've seen that before. It brings game modes like search and destroy where you plant a bomb or defend the bomb. Seen that before. So
capture and
a lot of what
we another one.
Yeah, like it's that stuff isn't new. That stuff is just rehashed from the rest of the genre. What's new to me and what I like about the game is how smooth it is. Like, this is
Mm,
a closed beta. It's not even fully released yet, but the game feels great to play. It's really nice
does.
to move in. The weapons, when you shoot somebody, you can feel it hitting a target, and it just feels good. The whole thing is very smooth all around.
In fact,
And
you could feel your weapon hitting the target so well that at one point last night when I was playing, I didn't even know if my gun was shooting or not because I was not hitting the target. So I was like, "Am I shooting?" I was. I was missing a lot.
yeah, I imagine you have that problem quite often.
I do. Actually, I didn't do too bad as Anvil, but anyway.
Yeah. So, it's a really fun game, and this is a game that we have talked about before. I think because when we went to DreamHack Atlanta last year, we got to play a very early version of it, and we were excited about it when we played it then because it was fun to play then. And apparently, it actually has gone through a few iterations to improve itself and do a little bit of a different design since then, because it's definitely a little different now than when we played. Although there are the same maps and stuff like that. But so it was really fun to finally
Couple.
play it again. And I know they're putting out new maps and they're putting out new updates for it, even like later this week. So they're going to keep updating this pretty regularly, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm assuming it's gonna be going along the ways of Smite. There'll be new rogues that will come out with different abilities, different looks. They'll have skins for them all. You know, it's gonna be the typical Smite or high res tradition of gaming where actually right now you can buy it. You'll get a founders pack, and the cheapest one is like $14.99, and you can spend as much as $60 on it right now. And each tier has like $60 lets you unlock all the rogues. The $14.99 gets a couple rogues and a few skins and stuff like that. So there's different. If you go to the roguecompany.com website, and you can find those packs out. Let me actually, I lost it. Yeah, you can play. It's got play the beta, and it tells you how you can do that. And if you click play the beta, that's going to take you to the different packs you can buy. The first one starter edition, 6 free rogues plus squad unlocked. Squad unlocked? What is that? Huh. Anyway, rare spray founder, epic emote, rare outfit, and epic wrap solar flare. I'm assuming wraps are for weapons. The next one is the standard edition, also 6 free rogues. The only thing different from the last one, because I'm not going to repeat things that have already been mentioned before, is you get 6 additional rogues, so 12 rogues total, and a rare outfit called Extermination Chalked Up Chalk. And then the Ultimate Edition has everything that the other two have on top of the Epic Outfit Night Runner, Rare Spray, Chalk Spray, Leg Day Dance, and 1,500 Roadbucks. So you'll have the in-game currency like Smite does. What is it, diamonds or gems?
Gems, yeah.
Gems for Smite.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that Hi-Rez is good at is usually they make their games relatively cheap or free to play, and then they have microtransactions, but they've never made them pay to win. They've always made them cosmetic kind of things. So they're probably going to do that with Rogue Company, and you'll be able to buy outfits and weapon designs and stuff like that. But it's never going to change the game, right? So there's nobody that's going to pay for an advantage. So I don't mind
You can,
that. They got to make their money somehow. That's fine if people want to buy that stuff. I used to buy
I
that
mean,
stuff in Smite all the time. So
even in Smite, you can buy the gems, so you can buy the gods faster if you didn't want to grind favor the entire time.
that's true. If you don't want to, I mean, the way Smite works is it has 2 currencies, favor and gems, and you pay for gems, you earn favor, and you could technically play Smite and earn enough favor to unlock all the gods without ever having to pay a single dime for the game. And Rogue Company is very similar. You can unlock the new rogues um, without
Paying
buying the
for 'em.
game if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
just gonna be grinding. You have to give up a lot of time to it, or you can
right.
just be godlike in it and earn insane amounts of in-game currency by just wrecking all the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you fall in love with the game and you love it and you're grinding it, then why not get rewarded for that? You know.
Mhm.
So
And like JD said, one of the things I played it a lot last night. I played it in DreamHack. We were supposed to get an alpha code long before this, but neither of us got our alpha codes, despite signing up. We got a free shirt, which I was going to wear tonight, but
We do
I
have
couldn't
free
find
T-shirts.
it.
Yeah, we should have worn our Road Company shirts since we were talking about it.
Represent, and I'm actually in the state of Georgia, which is where High Res Studio is.
Ooh, fancy.
Ooh. But the game was a lot of fun. You guys all know I don't play competitive shooters all that much because I suck at them. I used to be decent at them when I was younger, but now it's not my thing. But like I liked about Road Company is smooth, it is clean. I like the graphic style for the game. Again, they don't have anything revolutionary. They did the same thing at Rainbow Six Siege and Valorant, where their characters are all from different countries and their backstories relate to the country that they're from. Like the main guy that takes you through the tutorials from Russia. I think you play, I don't know what Asian country she's from, but she's from an Asian country. Her name is Ronin. So I guess that would be Japan. Yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
And they're
her name is let me see, it says Tokyo. Her name is Tokyo. Oh, that's got to be Vietnam.
I know. I'm sorry. I just woke up from a nap. Oh, and then there's Anvil from Britain, Great Britain, England. And then the other characters, I haven't really looked into them a whole lot, so I don't know where they're all from, but they're gonna have different countries, different backstories.
Well, one of them's named Dallas. Why don't you take a guess where he's from?
New Mexico.
That's right, Spain. He's Spanish. Good job.
Drops info. Oh, sorry. I'm reading the Road Company website. But so that's nothing new or different because, like I said, Rainbow Six Siege does it. Valorant is doing it. Technically, Smite did it before because all the gods are from different regions, which are related to the countries that they're from. And the only thing, it's not new because you can drop into other shooters like Fortnite, but the dropping into a match is usually a battle royale feature, and like JD says, is not a battle royale. Hopefully they'll never go battle royale, but a lot of games seem to be going that way. They start off as something else and eventually throw a BR mode in because they think that's what's going to draw everybody in. But it is an objective-based shooter. You can play modes where it is one-time spawn, where you get killed. Either you win by taking the objective or eliminating the entire team, or which this was not available that I'm aware of when we were at DreamHack. They got a play mode called Strike Through, which is what I'm using to get used to the mechanics, where each team has, I think, 20 spawns. So you either take the objective to win or you run out of spawns. And that the team that runs out of spawns first loses, basically, and it's a best out of 3. So that's what I've been using to get myself used to it. I might start into the single spawns later as I get more comfortable with the game, but for now, Strike Through I think is gonna be my go-to. I like the graphics, the coloring is great, but again, games aren't meant to just look pretty. We've talked about that in the past, how some developers seem to worry about more how much a game looks and ends up not being good at all because that's all they like. We made fun of Battlefield, talk about how when they did their teaser announcement for the next Battlefield coming out, saying our game has always been revolutionary in looks, and we're like, we really don't care because your game just is garbage now at this point. So it can look pretty all at once, but it plays like crap. So
yeah. Yeah, I'd be really surprised if this game added a battle royale, just because Hi-Rez doesn't seem like a company that isn't aware of these kind of things. Like most Hi-Rez games are usually a copy of some other thing going on in the genre, right? Like they made Smite because there was League of Legends. They made Paladins because there was Overwatch. Like Smite, Hi-Rez does that. That's what they do. It's their reputation as a company. So they know that battle royales are out there. And I'm sure they know they could cash in on that, but I feel like this game has a purposeful design towards the team-based shooter, and I like that. I think it's refreshing considering, like, really the only place you can go for that now is like the original Call of Duty before they added Warzone. So, um, so I like it. I like the way it plays. It feels kind of reminds me of playing Halo back in the day. It's like that. The gameplay is smooth. The maps are complicated but not too complex. They have different paths you can take, but it's it's easy enough to learn them eventually, you know, that kind of thing. So I like it. It's fun.
The only
But we're spending
complaint
a lot of time on this game.
I was just gonna add is the biggest complaint I have about it so far, is that with the maps being really small and they don't seem to spawn flop. Spawn camping is really easy for the other team to do if you're doing strike
Yeah,
through.
I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen
So
people doing spawn camping, even on like search and destroy, which is the one where you go down and you're out kind of thing. That
mhm.
you can rush. You can just rush the map to the other side and kill them before they even have a chance to go anywhere. So yeah,
And it's
that's
ridiculous.
yeah.
But anyway,
Okay.
next one is
Let's
gonna be
move on.
JD's game.
We're gonna do Fault next.
Sure, we can
Uh,
end with Ghost
uh,
of Tsushima.
oh yeah, Ghost. I forgot about that one. And we want to do No
Mhm,
Man's Sky as well.
mhm.
And I wanted to put in Star Wars Squadrons in there.
Okay, so you
Because
go
so there's so many things. So many things to talk about. Let's go.
ahead and
Let's talk
do.
about Fault real quick.
Okay.
Fault is so everybody knows I like Smite. Smite is a third person MOBA. I love MOBAs, but there's two things that I really don't like about MOBAs. And one is that top down view that League of Legends and Dota has, and Heroes of the Storm did it, where you're kind
Oof.
of like
Mhm.
you're like from a god perspective kind of thing. I don't like that mode. I love the third person view of Smite where you can control it almost like it's a shooter. And then you can still play the MOBA 3 lanes and you have to control the jungle kind of thing. And Fault is like that. Fault is actually a very small company. As far as I know, they have maybe like 4 to 10 people at this company. They and it only formed Strange Matter Studios. It formed in the collapse of Paragon. And if you don't know what Paragon is, Epic Games that makes Fortnite, they make, billions off of Fortnite. They also had a game at the same time that Fortnite came out called Paragon that they were working on. But Fortnite became so big that they literally just abandoned Paragon. And instead of letting all that go to waste, they threw it out there in the ether and they said, "Here is all of our assets for Paragon. This is all the stuff we made. You can have it. It is free to use for people that are using our engine. Go nuts." Right? And I mean, that's just unprecedented. That's just
Yeah,
insane because
it is.
you're talking about I don't know how much those assets were worth, but millions probably, right? Like $20
That's
million worth of assets,
that just
right?
shows you how
Like
much money they made off of Fortnite and still make.
right, exactly. That should show you how crazy Fortnite was, that they would literally just give the game to anybody who wanted to make something out of it. So that's what these guys did. There's like 4 different companies that latched onto this idea of taking these assets and making something, and Fault is one of them. Well, Strange Matter Studios is one of them, and they made Fault. And it uses all the Paragon assets. It's a very similar map to what was on Paragon. Many of the heroes are very similar and that kind of thing. But, unlike Epic, these people are solely focused on Paragon and probably not likely, or Fault, I mean, sorry, and probably not
Mhm.
likely to abandon it anytime soon. It just went into early access, so it's not even fully developed yet. And I've been playing it, and it's just been a ton of fun. The other thing I don't like about MOBAs is usually how long they take. And
Mhm.
that's one of the other reasons I love Smite is because Smite focuses on making matches as fast as possible. These days, an average conquest game in Smite takes 20-25 minutes, where League of Legends it could take an hour to an hour and a half. So,
We've had
and
a, a few long
in
games in
Fault, they're
Smite.
definitely yeah, well, you can definitely have a long game in Smite, sure, but it's not designed around that. It's designed to be as
Yes.
fast as possible. It gets you to the late game as quick as you can. But Fault is more like League of Legends. It's a little slower in its development, so it takes a little more patience to get used to. But that does have its advantages. One of the things I think people don't like about Smite is how complicated it is, and there's a lot to learn and do in 20 minutes. When you have an hour of a lot longer to get used to all that stuff. But
True.
anyway, it's a fun game. I had a lot of fun with it. It's got some great heroes in it, some great melee. I love junglers and assassins, so it's got some great versions of that. But that's it. That's Fault. I really enjoy it. I really like it. You can go play it. It's like $15 for the early access, but when it comes out next year or whatever, it'll be free to play. So
Yeah.
pretty good.
How much did you pay for it?
Well, I actually bought like the extra stuff. Like they have like
Oh,
a
okay.
master spec or whatever. So I bought a master spec just because I wanted to spend the money. So
And
I paid extra for that,
because he's an adult and he's
but I
grown, he
didn't
can
pay
do
for Rogue Company, so I saved. What are you saying?
I said
Because I'm a
he's an
grown man.
adult. you can do things
Yeah,
like that.
it's true. My kid's not gonna eat for a couple days, but I'll get to play Fault, and that's cool. So it's fine.
um, I haven't played Fault yet, but I've watched JD play it, and I have nothing wrong with the visuals of Smite. I like the visual Smites because they're they catch your attention. But I
Yeah.
also like Fault is more of a streamline. How would you describe the visuals of Fault?
Yeah.
Is
It's
it?
weird to describe them because I do like Smite's visuals. I think Smite has
Hmm,
great visuals. I Fault just feels more like it's not real because it's science fiction. So I don't want to say it's more real, but it's more modern, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
yeah,
I really
it's
don't, but it's good.
not really more
It
realistic, but more realism styled, not a
Yeah,
cartoony,
right. Smite is
colorful.
very cartoony and Fault is very trying to hurt your computer's graphics card. So, yeah. Like I play on medium on Fault because it definitely gets later in the game it gets a little crazy. But yeah, I really like the way Fault looks. It feels like you're playing a more modern game than Smite does. Smite kind of the cartoon aesthetic kind of sticks with League of Legends and Dota that they're very flat. I don't know how to describe these things. I don't know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
describe,
I couldn't
I
think
know
of
what
it
you're
either.
saying.
So
Fault is
it
definitely a unique looking game.
that's where it is one of the things that stands out to me the most. Again, I haven't played it, so you can speak better that the game style it is that it does not look like a typical MOBA. The other
Yeah.
MOBAs are more colorful, more not really cartoony, but like they tend to rely on their colorful visuals. Where not that saying that Fault doesn't have color to it, but it's just more of a yeah. We can't even think of it, but it
I don't
stands
know
out.
what the difference is. But yeah,
The
Fault
visuals
is more
stand
like
out.
Destiny 2 versus Smite
Yeah,
is
yeah.
more like Splatoon 2. Yeah.
So, what is one of your favorite aspects about Fault? Since, like I said, I haven't played it.
Well, I gotta say, I just love the MOBA concept. I mean, I don't know what it is about that, but there's just something very fun about going through a jungle and you're kind of on your own for a little bit. Everybody's on their own. Everybody's laning by themselves. You got an opponent that you're staring down, but you have no idea what's coming from the sides or where it's going to happen, and you got to be prepared for that kind of stuff. And there's like this kind of element of strategy in that way. Like you can't push your opponent too far under the tower because then your friends can't gank him, you know? So you got to
Yeah,
back off a little bit. You got to tease him a little
bait
bit.
him
You
out.
got to have the box in the middle, stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I like the gameplay element of it's not just a run and gun, right? Everything feels like a run and gun. Even Rogue Company, which I really enjoy, you're basically just running at each other until somebody's dead. But with these games, there's just so much more to them. There's items you have to buy, there's uh, farming you have to do, and then killing each other, and then you have to push different ways and get the objectives and stuff. I don't know. I like the complication of the game. It's complicated, and that's
Is it
fun
more
for me.
complicated than Smite? Would you
I
say, or
don't
about the
know.
same?
I would actually say Smite is more complicated in some ways. Like the jungle in Fault is very simple. There's like 5 XP camps, and then there's one big objective on each side of the map and one small objective on each side of the map. And that's it. That's their whole jungle. Which actually kind of surprised me because I've always heard that Smite's jungle was simplistic compared to like League of Legends, but Fault is
Really?
even more simplistic compared to Smite. So that's
So,
interesting to me.
how many modes are there in Fault? Is it just the one for now because it's in early access, or is there multiple modes?
I don't know. I don't know if there's gonna be other modes in Fault. I would assume no because I don't think the other ones do other modes. I don't even think. I mean, Heroes of the Storm had different modes,
Yeah,
but I
that's
don't think
right.
League of Legends and Dota do anything different. They just
It's
have the
Smite's
one
the only one that does like
conquesting mode.
Clash and Conquest and Arena,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and it's honestly, I think that's the thing that's hurt Smite the most because most of their player base does those non-conquest modes. And they started off with those non-conquest modes. That's what they marketed it as. They're like, "Oh, it's the accessible MOBA because you can play an arena where there's nothing going on," kind of thing. and I
And you
think it's
just
kind of
fight.
hurt them over time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know if Fault will add anything else. I don't think they will during early access. I think their focus
probably
is
not.
gonna be on this mode for now. But yeah, I don't.
Which
I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's been super enjoyable to learn something new. That's part of it is like I'm learning a whole new game. I try to learn other games. Like I tried to play Doom Eternal and it just bored me. And then I I don't know. So now I'm learning something new and it feels good.
yeah, I mean, it looks like you're having fun with it. Obviously, you're running into the same issue of being a loner amongst teams, and it's kind of hard for you to get a
Yeah,
good
well,
match in.
yeah. That's the long-standing problem with games like Smite and Fault is when you're by yourself, it kind of sucks because you get stuck with other people that are grouping up and they either like they rage it out. Like one team just quit in the first 2 minutes of the game. I don't even know why, and they're just sitting in the base and they refuse to surrender. So I'm stuck there for an hour with two people that are level 1. Like, okay. So yeah, that's part of the problem is you can't really control the game. You can't really control the flow of the game unless you're just destroying everyone and hard carrying to victory. So that's tricky, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games. No matter how much you throw into the match, if you at least have one or two other players that are doing just as well or better, you're probably not gonna
Yeah.
make it. As a
Yeah, I was
victory.
playing Smite earlier today because they were doing the patch notes show for Smite. They were introducing a new god and I wanted to see it. So I was just sitting there playing a casual game of Smite. I was like 25-4 on Ratatasker in the jungle, and my team kept trying to surrender. I'm like, what is wrong with you? I'm destroying in this game, and you guys are trying to quit because all of them were negative. And I'm like, all we have to do is kill them and we win. And we won eventually. But man, people are so easy to just give up, even when it's obvious the win is in your grasp. It's so weird. I don't
I
know.
hate it when that's the worst. Now, if it's obviously a slugfest and you're losing like horribly,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the time to quit. But if there's a chance, you're just a lot of people want the easy wins, and if they can't get that easy win, they just don't want to play. So, and I honestly hate easy wins because it makes it boring, especially in games like with Rogue Company. They have incredibly long load times and queue times right now, obviously because it's still new. I don't want to spend more time in the load and queue than I do in the match because then it's just another game I've been playing a lot again is Hell Let Loose because they just had a big update for it with overhaul and graphics, sounds, and they've added a new map and all that other stuff.
Nice.
There's long load times for that too, but the matches last long enough to justify the long load times. You spend more time in the game than you do loading, but like with Rogue Company, it's meant to be quick matches. And with long loading queues, it's like I'm spending more time staring at the screen than I am doing anything. And it's I'm hoping that will get better as the game gets closer
Yeah,
to
I'm sure it
release.
will.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
but
I'm sure they're pretty limited on their servers and stuff right now.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm sure that'll get better. Yeah, I wanted to play last weekend. I didn't get a chance to even get on last weekend when I saw Hell Let Loose was free. I figured if it was free, I'd give it a shot for the weekend, but
Mhm.
I couldn't. Too busy to even get on,
They
unfortunately. So,
apparently they broke a record this weekend. The most new players to join their game since they started. So like they had a lot of people actually buy the game after this. So that's good for them because it was a small community for the longest time. That was one of the issues was finding a server that had a decent amount of players in it. Now it's almost impossible to find one that's not going to throw you in a queue. So that's
yeah,
good. Good for
yeah,
them.
that's great. Yeah, sure. All right. Next game, No Man's Sky.
Yes.
Another game that I love to talk about that Anna kind of gave up too soon on because he's a jerk.
I was having
Uh,
issues with it because I had a potato PC, so I was struggling.
yeah.
So
Yeah, No Man's Sky though is a very similar game to one we were talking about earlier, Sea of Thieves, where when No Man's Sky first came out, it was very lackluster. It was missing a lot of stuff that they had promised, and it was poorly received. But since then, they've been updating it regularly, like tons of updates. They've had a lot, and they just added a new update called the Desolation Update. And in this one, you will find procedurally generated abandoned ships. If you've ever played No Man's Sky, you know that you'll regularly run into ships when you're out in space,
mhm.
and you'll run into space battles. And when you warp into a new place, there's going to be a fight going on where you can like, when you win the fight, you can even buy the ships that are available if you want. In this case, you're going to be running into abandoned ships that have been abandoned because of aliens and rogue sentries and robots and stuff like that. And so now you can explore those, and it gets a little creepy in there. Probably some music. And now I haven't played No Man's Sky in a long time. I had pretty much maxed myself out there for a little bit with all my money. Uh, and they've added a whole lot more that I would love to go back and play, and I probably will. But one of the things back then when I did play was every now and then, and I'm not sure what triggered this, I don't really remember, you would find an abandoned space station. Every system you jumped into had a space station. And then once in a blue moon, one was abandoned. And it was the creepiest thing because normally a space station is a hub of spaceships coming and going. There's traders talking and people standing around that you can talk to. And then you walk in and it's like all the lights are out and everybody's gone and it seems like it's dead. And I there was never really an explanation for that. They never built on it. But now they're kind of adding a little bit more of that creepy factor with these abandoned abandoned frigates. So if you haven't played No Man's Sky in a while, or you never did, and you're looking to pick it up, I think it's worth it now. It's got so many awesome things in it. So give it a shot.
Yeah. And it's one of the things that I like about No Man's Sky, even though like JD said, I gave up on it pretty early, is that they're constantly adding stuff to it. It's like a growing, evolving world all the time. I was actually about to give a spoiler because I don't remember if you or Pyro that actually told me what the actual end story is to the game. Like you end up because as you go, you know almost nothing about what's going on, and your goal is to get to the center of the universe. And as you do this, you find little tidbits to explain to you why you're here, why you want to get to the center of the universe, what's going on in the world around you.
Yeah, the whole thing's pretty insane. Like the whole idea of the story is kind of nuts. It gets super complicated too. But yeah, I wouldn't want to spoil any of that. But
Yeah,
let's just say you're definitely going to uncover a lot of stuff as you explore this galaxy, basically.
I'm actually
yeah,
on their web. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought.
Oh, I was just gonna say, one of the other cool things that they added recently was crossplay.
Yes.
And I think that they built on that with this patch. I don't know. I thought I remember reading that, but now I can't find it. But now you can play with your friends if they're on console and you're on PC and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm. And which actually, I remember when it first came out, that was one of my biggest complaints because I bought it on PC, not knowing my brother already had. Granted, he bought it on PlayStation, and I didn't have. I haven't owned a PlayStation since I was still living at home. So I obviously couldn't play with him, and it was kind of a bummer. Actually, when it first came out, it was single player only. I don't even think it was multiplayer then, was it? When it first launched?
Yeah, it had weird multiplayer. Like it was supposed to be that you could find your friends anywhere in the galaxy, but when you did, they were just like a dot on your screen, and there was no real interaction.
Yeah.
But now the multiplayer is full blown, and there's even like a hub for multiplayer people, and you can run quests together and stuff like that. So it's definitely a different beast.
It looks like they got mech suits now too, but I guess this update, Desolation, has introduced new creatures, new species, improved to the visuals. They got bloom effects, they got lens flares because everybody loves lens flares. So they must have talked to J.J. Abrams. New lighting effects, salvage freight technologies. So this game is getting more and more in depth, and it was fun in the beginning. It wasn't like I didn't like it. I forgot about that. They had the Stargate portals that you could literally build your own Stargate to travel from world to world. I hate those sentries though.
Sentries are crazy. And they've changed the sentries. They've like made them spawn in groups and stuff like that. So the sentries are different. They did a lot with this update. It wasn't just adding that freight thing. They changed a lot of stuff. They added more multiplayer missions. They added more stuff to the space anomaly. It looks like definitely did some updates to the different weapons and things like that. So that's all really cool.
Good news.
Man, I gotta play that game.
Yeah, and actually, I got it on PC anyway. But it's good news for PlayStation owners because this was a Sony exclusive first before it came out to anything else, if I remember correctly. It's actually 50% off on PS4 right now. Yeah, cool. So if you guys are interested in this article, it's a beautiful game too, and And luckily, it's not one of those it's pretty but sucks. In the beginning, it was like that because it had a lot of issues. Like JD spawned in one time in his world and everything was missing. He had to literally rebuild again. You would glitch out a lot. But they've refined it. It's gotten better. It's not like a gaming company that just like, game sucks, we'll move on to another project. That's like, obviously they just released a new update. They're still improving it and including visuals. And one of the things I've actually realized that I kind of been noticing lately in the gaming community as far as PCs, back in the day, you would have a game and games would do updates, but nothing would change on visuals. I don't know if because it wasn't the capability or nobody thought it, but now these older games, if you watch the growth from beginning to end to where it's now, if you look back when it first came out, they actually visually looked like garbage, but you can see it progress to this like more visually appealing game. Like even, I know JD hates this game, War Thunder looked like garbage when it came out, but it actually looks better.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Sean.
But I mean, not to say that No Man's Skies was not the greatest looking game. It's always been a pretty game, but it was kind of bland in some areas. But it's from looking through these screenshots and video clips they got on their website, it looks really pretty now. Again, that's not what makes a game, but it's nice to have the visuals along with the solid gameplay to go with it. So
yeah. So I might look into reinstalling that game and jump back onto my spaceship and go exploring because there's definitely a lot of stuff in there to check out now. Let's see.
I think you're getting ready to move on. One of my favorite things about No Man's Sky that always grew on me is you would run into other aliens and you could not speak any of their languages, but if you found tomes and tablets and stuff, it would teach you a new word with each new thing you found. So when you talk to them, you'll randomly see words turn to English in the conversation because you learned those words, and you can start to piece together what the aliens telling you or asking you to do. So I always thought that was neat.
I think that's very cool. Yeah, and there's definitely like a lot of times if you're just talking to a trader, you don't really need to know what he's saying.
Yeah.
But there are definitely elements of the game where if you don't speak the language, you're not going to know what's going on. And that's very cool because it means you have to go exploring for those pieces of language. And it definitely makes it easy. It's not like it's making it really hard for you. There's definitely lots of easy ways to discover language in the game. But yeah, that was a very cool element. And all the different aliens spoke different languages. So you had to collect different language types too, which is neat. So No Man's Sky has a new update. Get out there and play it. I think the last game that I wanted to talk about, and I literally just saw this before we started recording for the podcast, so that's why I didn't even mention it to Anaconda, was Star Wars Squadrons. I saw on The Verge that they got. We mentioned Squadrons before when it was announced, and it's supposed to be like a 5 versus 5 dogfighting game in the world of Star Wars, so that you would fly a TIE fighter or one of the Star Wars ships and then play in a multiplayer match with a single player campaign. But I saw on The Verge that they had a writer that got sent a computer and the game, and they got to play it. And one of the things that surprised me about it was they said that kind of like Jedi Fallen Order was a good Star Wars game, but it was a game that appealed to a certain kind of player, like a Dark Soulsian kind of player. Squadrons is not going to be a everybody can play it kind of game. I guess it's it's not going to be obviously crazy complicated to the point where nobody wants to play it, but apparently EA wants this to be on the level of something like Elite Dangerous. So it's going to have a little more complicated controlling and a little more precision involved when it comes to avoiding crashing into a spaceship or stuff like that. And they said they said that every game they played was just crazy, right? Because it's not just you're flying through empty space shooting at other TIE fighters flying through empty space. You're flying through asteroid fields with other starships and they're shooting at each other, and there's all kinds of stuff that you have to avoid and you have to maneuver, and then you have to kill the other team and all of that. So he said it definitely felt very immersive and very fun, but it wasn't going to be easy. And I thought that was just an interesting point.
Is this gonna be like quick matches like versus like you said it was 5v5, or is it gonna be open world like Elite Dangerous? Which actually, honestly, that would be cool if they did something like that. But
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be fully open world like Elite Dangerous. I think it just means more in the precision of controlling your like remember in Elite Dangerous when you first have to land on a space station and they like walk you through it and you're still like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then you
And
crash
you
into the
die.
spaceship like 20 times, yeah. And then you die and it doesn't really forgive you for that. That's kind of what he's talking about here.
Because the reason why I brought up if it's open world or not, I just found a Polygon article about it, and they're talking about actually getting into battle with capital ships, which you can do in Elite Dangerous as well. You will randomly run into capital ships, and you don't really want to just fly at these things. You want to make sure you're ready to take them out, and they talk about that here. And they talk about you being able to return to your own capital ship. Like one part they said if you fly straight at it in a straight line, you're not doing any evasive maneuvers, there's a certain amount of damage that we expect you to take. So they know like you can't just fly straight at these ships. You're gonna have to plan and strategize. Obviously you're gonna probably have to study the ship types, like okay, if I attack from this direction, it would be less likely to get destroyed because they have less defensive armament on that side or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in this. I didn't know they were going to go into precision like Elite Dangerous, but I was thinking of Rogue Squadron on the Nintendo 64, and I thought that's what this was going to be, as another attempt at that. But this sounds like a little more advanced than Rogue Squadron from that. In fact, you talk about the precision of flying. They advertise Thrustmaster's T16000M for this game too, so you have the joystick and everything. Like you're flying the ship for reals.
Yeah, I think they're even talking about with the VR and like you can put on a headset and stuff. Like I think the immersion for this game is going to be really awesome when it finally comes out. I don't think it's going to be open world like Elite Dangerous because it's only a $40 game for one thing. So that kind of tells me they're streamlining it a little bit. But yeah, it definitely sounds like it's going to be pretty fun once you get used to it. It's just going to take some getting used to. So
yeah, you're not going to be able to just hop in and fly and be like the best pilot out there. I mean, there's some people that are just naturally good at games like that, so they probably will crush it. But like if JD and I just hopped in there, we're probably going to be crashing our ship multiple times.
It's going to be ugly. Yeah, it's going to be terrible. So, but that's definitely one to keep an eye out on. I guess it's coming out on October 2nd, so just a couple of months away.
That's soon. I didn't realize it's going to be that soon. It's a good-looking game, but EA is always good at good-looking games. They're not always great at gameplay. So
yeah. It's the looks. I'm sure will be fine, but yeah, I want to see it in action. And I think that's it. Are we done?
No,
with our game.
Did you want to do Ghost of Tsushima?
Oh, soon? Ghost. Yeah, let's talk about that. Go ahead. You talk about that.
All right. So again, disappointed, not surprised. It is a PlayStation exclusive. I mean, it's made by Sony Interactive, so you kind of saw that coming. But it's Ghost of Tsushima. I have not played it, obviously, because I don't own a PlayStation at all. But I've been watching people play it on streams, and it reminds me a lot of Assassin's Creed, but in Japan. So kind of curious what's going to happen if Ubisoft tries to do a Japan Assassin's Creed. I know they did Origins, which was, I think, Asia, China, but I'm not sure. But anyway, this game, it's a beautiful looking game. Sony never disappoints on the PlayStation with good looking games. And what I've heard and read, in fact, let me see if I can find it real quick, is it's being praised in Japan for how accurate it is to Japanese culture and lore. Like I mean, granted, Sony is a Japanese company, so it'd be kind of hard for them to mess that up. But there's not a whole lot of games that capture Japanese culture very well. I mean, they do the basics that the average person in the United States would know about, but I guess Ghost of Tsushima dives into that a lot more, and I think that's one of the cool things about it. And I heard the story's pretty good. I saw one article titled "Ghost of Tsushima has ruined single-player games for me forever." So I meant to read that before we streamed tonight because I wanted to know what that's about. I don't know if that means like it's a garbage game and the person doesn't like it, or it's so good they don't know if they can play any other single-player games again because of how they handled it. But it's JD brought it up today. One of the reasons why, obviously, because it released late last week, I think, or was it early this week?
What, Ghost?
Yeah,
Ghost. Yeah, I think, I don't know, last week, this week, I don't know, sometime recently.
Yeah.
It's really
So
disappointing that it's a PlayStation only game. I'm getting
it
kind of
is.
tired of that because PlayStation has a couple of really great PlayStation only games, and that makes me sad. Because I would love to
I
play it. I like the more I've seen of that game, the more I want to play it because it looks good.
Yeah, here it is. Kotaku. Ghost of Tsushima is being praised by Japanese critics, because of how accurate it is to the basic ancient Japan and the culture that grew up from that. And apparently, another thing I saw just before we got on is there's actually builds. So it's almost like a MMO in a way, where they said this build is the best for this. So you can build your character. I'm assuming there's ability based. As you level up, you unlock new abilities, new skills, get new weapons and new gear.
Makes sense.
So apparently there's also, it's not like some multiplayer or single player games that are like that. You just find a new item. It's like, cool, whatever, you throw it on, it's better than what you had before, you continue on. It sounds like you can actually refine your builds for certain tasks that you want to do, which is kind of cool. And like JD said, I'm actually really disappointed because normally, yeah, like I wasn't really into Last of Us, other than it's a good looking game. The first one I'm more interested in than the second one because I heard the first one was phenomenal in story. So I'm curious about the story. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about the second one as far as story goes. So I'm not as excited. And what was
I think the second one seems a little too woke.
Yeah.
You know, it's got like hitting on hot button issues that people are like, why you got to hit on those issues? But I don't know. I haven't played it.
I kind of ignored that part of the game when it first came out. Yeah, I kind of rolled my eyes, but I'm trying to get better at not hearing the word woke and dismissing something immediately. But one of the things I heard, the reasons why people complain of the wokeness is actually involves a favorite part of the game that was from the first one. I'm trying to say it without ruining, like spoiling it.
Sure.
Something happened in the story that upset a lot of people.
They kind of crapped on something from the first game. Right. I don't know the specifics because I never looked up the spoilers, but I have heard that
that's probably the reason why I'm trying not to say it. But yeah. So Ghost of Tsushima, unfortunately for me, has actually made me really interested in this game for a console that I have not owned again since I was in high school. So
yeah, and that's pretty disappointing. And it harkens back to what we were saying earlier that Microsoft kind of has to step it up because these games are. And it's not just Sony. Like Sony's hitting the marks with Last of Us 2 and the Ghost of
Spider-Man
or whatever his name is, and Spider-Man. They've got a lot of really good first-party games, and Nintendo's killing it too. Nintendo has its entirely own ecosystem that we hardly ever even talk about on this podcast, but they're going nuts with their video games. Like they just released a brand new Mario game, the Paper Mario, and they've got all kinds of games that are constantly coming out on that console that you get that console just to play those games.
Animal Crossing this year is a perfect example of that thing exploded at the beginning of the year to the point that
Animal Crossing gave sex workers a thing to do during COVID. So, I mean,
hey, and he jokes about that, but the funny thing, actually, this is poor timing.
It's true. I read an article this week about a sex worker that ended up making tons of money and kept herself afloat during COVID by letting people pay to go on her island in Animal Crossing. And they'd have her webcam up on one screen and her island up on their Switch.
Wow. I didn't know
people
about
are
that
weird,
one.
Man. People weird pay for weird things.
Oh, what was that one article I sent you? Well, you know what? Actually, you know what? Next episode we should probably discuss why Microsoft is failing and Sony and Nintendo are succeeding because they're doing these exclusive. Maybe so we can get into topics like this a little more.
Yeah, we can. We could go more in depth on that next week because Microsoft has to get better with.
They're going to lose it. They're going to lose it.
Yeah. I think this is the last generation for Xbox if they don't
step it up
and get better games.
But yeah, I actually have a thought on that too. But if we're going to talk about exclusive games next year, our next episode in consoles, I'll actually bring it up then because we're supposed to be talking about Ghost of Tsushima right now.
Yeah, let's go back to Ghost. Yeah.
It's a beautiful looking game. Again, not shocking, like I said before, because it's on Sony. Sony's probably the only console that can have non-cartoony games look absolutely amazing. and almost compete to on PC to some level. Now, however, somebody brought up the argument, if these games were not limited to Sony, how much better would they look on PC if they were allowed to port it to PC? If the PlayStation is able to achieve this, what could a high-end PC achieve if they actually put the time into it?
Yeah.
They apparently deal with a lot of Japanese historical dramas in this game, and my dad brought me up loving history and culture, and I'm being lately, as I've been getting older, being drawn to more games that draw me to the history and culture. Like, it's one of the things I got into Kingdom Come Deliverance so much, and I still need to beat it though, because I'm actually at the very end and almost beating it, but I've been drawn to more games. Like, I keep hearing about more companies doing these things, and it's made me want to go play more games like that Raji game. I want to check that out now because it's another culture I haven't explored. And the one of the reasons why
hold on. We're losing you. You're going a little robotic in your voice, and your webcam is fading on us. Do you want to finish up real quick? Because I don't know. I don't know if your internet's dying or not.
It might be dying. It's Cox after all. I'll just say it real quick. The reason why JD wanted to bring this one up in particular is because he said today that it made him miss Japan. He and I have spent a lot of time in Japan because of our military service, and we loved it when we were out there. We loved a lot of things we got to do out there, and as obviously for me, he got to do more than me because he got to go back. Well, I got to go back recently, but I had to babysit something the entire time. There's a lot of things I didn't get to do that I would love to still do. And this game kind of would bring you back into that and make you probably miss it more, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I love Japan. I love the culture. I loved all the things we got to see and do up there. So playing a game that takes me back to that place would be great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's on PlayStation, so screw you, Sony.
But they're smart. That's why they're still surviving.
Yeah, I mean, they're killing it, so I can't argue with that. So that's pretty much it for this podcast. We talked about some games, talked about Xbox, and that's all we got. Do you have anything you got to say for the outro?
Nope, just hashtag NTWP if you want to submit things to us for us just cuz, or if you got stories you would like us to talk about. And you got questions for JD and I, whether it's about our military service, games in general, or what our interests and likes are as far as pop culture, because we talk about things like Dune and other non-video game related subjects. So if you guys got questions about anything outside of video games, hit us up with hashtag NTWP or direct messages on Twitter or Discord. We both have both of those things because we're grown. So feel free to hit us up.
Yep. And that's it. We'll say farewell to Pixel Man over there. And we'll see you guys next week for episode 20. Oh, the big 2-0. Our podcast can almost drink or something. Is that not how it works? No.
In Japan, it can drink.
In Japan, he could. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So we're gonna put our podcast in Ghost of Tsushima or whatever it is. Okay. Anyway, never mind. Okay. Bye. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.